Thanks for tuning in on a Thursday afternoon to WSQL, where we bring you TCS Yes. My name is Kevin Smith. This show is dedicated to bringing you the best of what's happening with our students, educators, families, and community partners who make up the whole family of Transylvania County Schools. And today that means we're spreading the net to include some of our favorite folks from the community. We have members of the Transylvania County Retired School personnel and members of the faculty at Brevard College from the Education Department with us. I have a distinguished panel of people that I would love for you to hear from. Today we have Molly Tartt and Liz Fuller. Molly and Liz, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
And we have Dr. Betsy Burrows, who is going to be here as kind of a voice of the bigger picture about how all this fits into what students are doing with education at Brevard College.
Thank you, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Folks, you're here to promote a book that's just been published, and there's a big release party coming up on Saturday. Let's do that first. What's happening at Blue Ridge Bakery on Saturday? Give us the details.
Saturday morning, Molly and I will be there with some of the students who wrote the book for a book signing. We'll be at Blue Ridge Bakery between 9:30 and 1 o'clock.
9:30 and 1 o'clock this Saturday, January the 20th at Blue Ridge Bakery here in Brevard. I have my own signed copy right here. The title of the book is The Peony on the Piano, and a lot of kids are going to have to learn how to pronounce these words, right? A Peony on the Piano, a Silvermont Mystery. Liz Fuller, as the teacher of the children's literature class, what are your students getting out of this process, and why did they pick this topic?
Well, first of all, they work together with one another to actually write the text, and that involved quite a bit of research, both at the library and at the Silvermont Mansion itself. And beyond the research, we started gathering facts and gathering information, and then decided that we would write a mystery that included some facts as well as a lot of fiction. So what they get out of it is an opportunity to write and publish a book, which is something that can go into their resume. And beyond that, because we pick things that are local, and this is our 5th book in which we have featured a local, not only buildings, but businesses, it's an opportunity for them to think locally when they're actually teaching. And hopefully they will encourage their own students and work with their own students to write and publish books themselves.
Molly Tartt, you taught young people here in this county for many, many years, and now you're part of this process helping to facilitate these books being published. What does it mean to you that stories like this are going to be easier to share now with some of the kids that you might have taught back in the day?
I just think it's a great idea that Liz and I, who used to work together, have reconnected.
Yes.
And we both love the writing process, and we want to instill that in Liz's students. So by choosing local businesses, we have been able to do that.
What was the process that went into getting this book ready? You've told me kind of the big picture, but how many students, Liz, are actively taking a role in writing the book?
It varies from class to class.
Sure.
It's initiated in children's literature and then oftentimes completed in methods of English language arts. In this particular book, we had about 12 students involved in the process. Now,
and I know a lot of these students, too, because I see a lot of names that are familiar to me. So these are not just students who have come from far and wide, but even students who may have grown up hearing these stories as well. That's pretty exciting. What I'd love to do is get you all, and we were getting our stage directions together just before the show. Liz, what's the background? Set the stage for where the book begins before I get Molly to read a part dramatically for us.
Okay. It starts, as I said earlier, with the research and gathering of facts and information. But then it goes into brainstorming of ideas of how we want the story to flow. Then our students actually use technology. They use what's called Google Docs, and they begin writing. And through using Google Docs and being able to access, everyone in the class can access Google Docs, they can actually see what one another they're writing. And so they look at each other's writing, they critique one another's writing, and they will add things, they will delete things, and then the story begins to flow, and we begin to have a story that gels.
And that's what I'd like you to do for me. Give us the historical setting. Put us right in the first pages of the book. We're going to kind of summarize some of the family history that gets our readers ready. So what was the historical setting? What are these young people going to be learning about?
Well, the historical setting was Silvermont Mansion, and the reason we chose that this particular year is because of the 100th anniversary of Silvermont. And so, we set the scene in 1917, 100 years ago.
And that's when the story really begins.
Exactly. When the Silversteins, as well as their three daughters, are actually moving into the mansion for the first time and spending their summer there. And Adelaide, who is the youngest daughter, is very unhappy about moving away from her friends in Rosman to this new home. And so that's where the story begins.
Molly Tartt's going to read a couple pages for us dramatically to help you get into the spirit of the book. This is from The Peony on the Piano, a Silvermont Mystery.
On the first day of living in the new house, Adelaide argued with her parents. "Why do we have to spend the summer here? I hate it. I don't have any friends." And she stormed away and locked herself in the music room to play her piano. Music was her only friend in this community. Adelaide had been playing and daydreaming for quite some time. She glanced up at her music and discovered her favorite flower, the peony, in a vase to the side of that music. In shock of its appearance, she stopped playing. Had she missed sight of the flower when she first sat down? No, she was certain it had not been there. She wondered if her sisters were playing a trick on her. So she raced into Dorothy's bedroom. As soon as she entered, the piano began playing. She ran back to the music room to catch her sisters, but instead found a white figure standing near the piano. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Theo." "Nice to meet you, Adelaide," he replied.
Oh, the drama begins like so early in the book. I'm hooked, and I'm planning to read the rest of it. What's going to be in there for kids? Obviously, some historical details, a little bit of young person challenge, these being put into a new situation. That's clearly something that really every young reader can relate to.
Well, we're hoping that not only will they enjoy the book, but then that they will go to Silvermont Mansion and see some of these things that we've talked about in the book, because we've taken a lot of pictures. We've been on all of the floors of the mansion, and so we've explored, and we want children to visit the mansion and explore too.
Beautiful illustrations all through the book, color photos, and some creative ideas from students. Again, your fifth book being released.
Correct.
Pretty exciting stuff. Betsy Burrows, let's pull you in for just a minute, because I'd like you to, as I said, kind of add some context to this. How does the children's literature course and this activity of doing the hands-on work of publishing a book, how does that fit into what you're hoping your students will get out of the education program at BC?
Well, Brevard College is committed to experiential learning, and our teacher education program specifically believes the best teachers for the 21st century are teachers who know how to teach project-based learning and believe in it. Project-based learning and the interdisciplinary way you teach brings joy to the classroom, and we want to develop and nurture teachers that do that. Research and data also show us that if you want to encourage and help students with literacy or learning, these project-based ways where they're not just sitting in a classroom doing worksheets, but they're doing their own writing and doing their own research, and this place-based education is very powerful. And our future teachers, the teachers we are developing, in order for them to be able to do that when they go to their future classrooms, they need to experience it in their own teaching and learning. And so Liz and Molly give them the opportunity with this assignment to feel what it feels to learn in project-based ways, and they will carry it forth in their future classrooms, is what we hope.
Dr. Burrows, what are the things that a student would have to know? Where does this fit into their curriculum? This is not the first thing that your students are going to do as they're getting ready to teach as graduates of Brevard College. So what do they have to get done before they take on an endeavor like this?
Well, they have to know their content area. They have to know reading pedagogy and understand science and social studies and learn, understand that. They need to know North Carolina teaching standards. Mm-hmm. They need to learn classroom management, and they get that in the classes, the education classes we offer. And then this type of teaching and project puts all that together in very integrated, interdisciplinary ways to make it come alive.
Liz, you're the teacher for this class, and with all of that context, what What's it like for you and your students as you see them get close to the end? And obviously there's been a lot of expectation, and we'll remind everyone of the details. You're listening to TCS Yes, and this is our show for January the 18th, 2018. On Saturday the 20th, Blue Ridge Bakery is hosting a release party for the Peony on the Piano, a Silvermont Mystery written by the Brevard College children's literature students. And obviously Liz Fuller and Molly Tartt are here. They are listed as the authors of the book along with the students. Liz, what happens to your students as that expectation hits a peak?
I think they learn a lot about how to integrate various content areas into teaching. They learn about how to do projects with their students. And what we're finding and what we stress to students is that classroom management becomes somewhat less of an issue when you engage students in this project-based learning, because they're so interested in what they're doing, and it ends up being such fun that classroom management is less of an issue.
So the more fun they're having, the less they're going to have to manage their classroom.
Absolutely.
That's pretty positive. Molly Tartt, I'm sure that your classroom was a lot of fun. And now that you've been on this project for several years with Liz and her students, what's it like for you? Again, I've been very active with you with our retired school personnel, and I know that you all have some events coming up soon with the DAR that we'll touch on for just a minute here before we transition to the second half of the show. Molly, you're teaching again. Are you having fun?
I am having fun. And what I like about it is 53 years ago when I first came here, Silvermont was where I took my second grade students to have a picnic on the grounds. And we used to walk up there from Brevard Elementary. And I learned to play tennis up there. I've had a lot of experiences, and it's just my opportunity to give back to this wonderful mansion and to Brevard College, which, if you remember, we talked about getting more together with Brevard College, our school system working together.
Community partnerships back and forth between, going both directions have made so many things possible. It's funny you should mention going back that far. The house was in a very different shape back in those days when you first started going. In fact, it was a going concern in a very different way.
It was a really in a state of bad repair.
Yes.
And I think they've worked very hard to get where they have. The grounds have been improved greatly in the last few years, plus the inside, some of it has.
I was going to say the rooms have been improved tremendously. I remember when I was teaching third grade at Brevard Elementary, Cecile Voso and I did Transylvania County history, and we took our students to Silvermont, and most everything was in boxes at that time. We did have some very large posters and photographs that we could look at, but otherwise we were just basically looking at rooms. And what they have done with restoration is just tremendous.
And this should do a lot as children. Where will this book find its audience? Who are the first people that are going to be using this in the classroom?
We're hoping our elementary teachers.
Well, there you go. So elementary teachers, take note. We're advertising a new book that will, in some ways could be the cornerstone of how you teach Transylvania County history to young readers. We're promoting a book release party this Saturday, January the 20th at Blue Ridge Bakery, a couple doors down here on Main Street. Everyone is invited from 9:30 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. Meet the students from Brevard College Children's Literature class who have helped to write this book, nearly a dozen of those students. Their names are in the back, so if you want to see who was involved, come and get your copy on Saturday morning. They'll be signing books along with Liz Fuller and Molly Tartt. Liz is the professor of the class, and Molly, 53 years teaching people here in Transylvania County. This isn't the only thing you all are doing as well. As I mentioned, there are some events coming up sponsored by the DAR. And maybe, before we transition into the second half of the show, why don't you tell us what's coming up and what students can expect to see?
The DAR has a script called Ladies First, and we are partnering with Junior ROTC, and we have targeted all the fourth grade classes in Transylvania County.
Yes, ma'am.
And we will go, the Junior ROTC will do an honor guard, and then they will perform flag etiquette folding for the fourth graders. And then we have 5 ladies that will be dressed in period clothing that has been made by Debbie West, one of our members, and they will portray 5 presidents' wives, each one with a different personality. So stay tuned.
And those dates are coming up. I saw from the end of January into the month of February, 4th graders in all of our schools in Transylvania County should expect to see a really interesting program with First Ladies titled Ladies First, as well as some flag etiquette and history from our junior ROTC program, another great partnership with the DAR. Molly Tartt, Liz Fuller, any last words on the book or the release party?
Just come out and see us on Saturday morning at Blue Ridge Bakery, and we'll be happy to sign your book for you.
Molly, I have encouraged a lot of friends my age to come and buy it for their grandchildren so they can learn about the history of Transylvania County.
So you've got a really unique cultural experience coming up this Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. You're invited by the authors to come to Blue Ridge Bakery and learn more about the Peony on the Piano, a Silvermont Mystery. Get your signed copy. 9:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock. We have been speaking with Liz Fuller, Molly Tartt, and Dr. Betsy Burrows here on TCSS. Liz, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with us, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks so much.
Molly,
thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, as always, Molly, for supporting what our students are doing. And Dr. Burrows, thanks again for coming in. I know it's been a rough week for everybody in a lot of ways, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You're listening to TCS Yes. After a short break, we're going to come back and speak with Tammy Hall and Emma Henderson from Rosman High School about the Miss Bengal pageant, also coming up this Saturday night. But don't go away. You're listening to TCS Yes. We'll be back after this. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Kevin Smith, and you're listening to TCS Yes here on a Thursday afternoon, the show from Transylvania County Schools, bringing you the best of what's going on with our students, educators, families, and community partners. The family of Transylvania County Schools, the best thing going here in our community. And for the second half of today's show on January the 18th, we are talking with Tammy Hall and Emma Henderson from Rosman High School. Miss Hall, thank you for making time to come in today and promote Miss Bengal.
Thank you for allowing us to be here.
And Emma, you're a veteran. You're a pro. I've seen your pictures from last year's event, and we're going to catch up a little bit. Thanks for taking time on a virtual day to come in and share.
Thank you.
What's it like, Miss Hall, knowing that the Bengal is going on for how many years now?
53 years.
53 years consecutive of the Miss Bengal pageant here in 2018. It means a lot to the community, to the students, to the whole school. What's it like? What's it been like getting ready for the Bengal pageant?
Well, it's been a little crazy this year between exams and the weather.
I bet.
We've had some issues getting ready for it, but we're really excited. It's going to be a great show as always.
I saw some photos that Amy Schonecker posted recently of the set. There's a theme every year. What's this year's theme?
This year's theme is Reach for the Stars, and the backdrop is of the Northern Lights, which Amy and a couple of her students painted for us.
A huge school activity on the same order as the biggest pep rally of the year, homecoming. It really motivates so many people in the school. Emma Henderson, you've competed before. What's it like for someone in your shoes to be getting ready for the pageant?
I think that it's really stressful to get ready for this pageant, but it's also really fun because we all kind of do it together, and it's a group thing that a good group of girls gets together and does. So I think that we all kind of help each other with the stressful aspect of it.
What are some of the ways that you might help each other? What's something that's been going on in the past few days?
Well, especially since the weather practice schedules have been kind of crazy. So I know a lot of us have been talking back and forth about, like, are you ready? Like, do you need help getting ready? Like, do you have the stuff that you need in order to do this? So I think that we're all pretty close in the aspect that we want to help each other succeed. So.
Not everybody might be clear on why we have a pageant and why it's lasted so long, 53 years. Emma, what's your experience been like? What do you appreciate most about being a contestant in Miss Bengal?
I think that it's really special since it's been going on for so long that it's a way we kind of give back to our community and give back to the school.
Exactly.
And it's something that, like, I can look in past yearbooks and see, and I know that future generations will look in past yearbooks and see that. So I think that it's really important that we keep that tradition going because it's something that just our school stands out for.
That's awesome. Tammy Hall, Emma mentioned the yearbook, and I know that this is an ongoing project put on by the yearbook, and anything raised supports it. So let's talk about some of the details. Tickets are $12, and many people are probably going to try to get them at the door, but you'd prefer that they go ahead and reserve their seats in advance. How can people get tickets for the Miss Bengal pageant Saturday night?
Well, at this point, they could come to school tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow and pick them up, or they could message me ahead of time, and I can go ahead and hold it for them to come and get.
I'm looking at the flyer for those details. You can contact Tammy Hall by her email, which is thall, THALL, at tcsnc.org. You could probably find her on the Rosman High School website if you didn't catch the email address. You can also call the school directly at 862-4284. Again, Rosman High School, 862-4284. Tickets for the Miss Bengal pageant are $12, and they'll also be available at the door, but that auditorium can fill up. It's been known to fill up in the past. What are some of the things, Ms. Hall, that students will be doing on Saturday night as they come forward to compete? Obviously, we said the funds are going to go to support the yearbook and also a Miss Bengal scholarship. That's one of the things that they're competing for.
Exactly. There's a $1,000 scholarship. And we also raise money for the yearbook to keep the prices down for the kids. We have to supplement what it costs to pay for the yearbook. But as far as what the girls will be doing on stage, they had to do community service, 10 hours of community service before the pageant. And then they do a fishbowl portion, an interest impression. They have a talent and an evening gown.
10 hours of community service. What are some of the things that you've seen that are really compelling and creative that get students involved in those 10 hours before they come into the pageant?
Well, I've had some girls that have, this year I had some girls that helped elderly people in the community by just going and spending time with them and helping them cook and organize their paperwork and things like that. I have girls that like to donate time to the Tigertown thrift store across the street.
Of course.
Some have also worked with Operation Christmas Child and just a variety of things. A lot of them like to help with animals, like they'll volunteer with the veterinarians in the area.
Absolutely. Wow. So, Emma Henderson, let's talk about you. What did you do for your 10 hours of service before this year's pageant?
So I actually did a multitude of things for my community service.
Yeah.
I participated in Cops for Kids, which is something that's super important to me. And I also rang a bell for the Salvation Army, and I volunteered at Silvermont's Pumpkin Patch back in October when they did that. And then the last thing I did, I actually did a police officer ride-along, and then I provided feedback to the chief of police to kind of help with that process, especially with high school students, if that's something that high school students are looking to do. So,
what a great idea. I also heard Ms. Hall mention some other things that might be a little more stress-inducing. You mentioned that it's kind of stressful getting ready for the pageant. You have a talent coming up. What are you going to do for this year's pageant?
I'm actually a dancer, so I'm doing a clogging routine to a Michael Jackson mix. So that's something I'm super excited
Y'all can't see me laughing, but that's awesome. I'm excited to hear about that. I'm going to be in another location, but I know that Dr. McDarris and some other folks are going to be happy to be there. I've been to the Miss Bengal pageant and love seeing the displays of talent. And Miss Hall, that fishbowl section, obviously you can't give away any of what's in the fishbowl, but what are the kinds of things that you hope to learn about a student during the competition? I mean, you could have students just apply for a scholarship, right? This literally has the word pageantry in it. There's something about putting students on the spot. What do you hope to learn about the folks who are going out on stage on Saturday night?
Well, with the fishbowl portion, that's something I actually added when I took over Miss Bengal. I feel like it lets the girls show a little bit of their personality and what's important to them. But I really believe that Miss Bengal in general is just a confidence building. It's a lot of teamwork. Like Emma said, they help each other in the back. There's not a lot of drama. The girls help each other with their makeup and their hair. And, I mean, it's really just a good time of collaboration and working together.
You say drama, which is a 5-letter word, and it makes me think of the other 5-letter word, poise. You mentioned confidence, and poise is probably the thing that's hardest to teach, but by putting students into this experience, I'm sure that a lot of them get that experience firsthand. Emma, your experience last year. What was it like being part of the award ceremony, and what are you hoping for this year?
I think that each year, well, this is my 4th year doing it actually, so.
Okay, so students of all years compete, and you can do it all 4 years. And so what was it like last year for you?
So I think that last year was special because it was my 3rd year doing it. I knew that this year is going to be my last year.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really kind of all came up to this year. This is kind of like the big year, the last time that I'm going to get to do this. So just kind of expecting to make it worth it.
I saw the pictures, and you've obviously a very talented individual. I mean, I've seen you dance, I know, and I remember it well. It was the same year that Madison Allen was doing a performance on the sax. There's a lot that goes into getting ready for this, and only one student is going to walk away with the crown of Miss Bengal, but there are other avenues. There are other ways that students are awarded. There's top talent. What are some of the other things that students are competing for?
So there's talent winner, and then there's 3rd through 1st runner-up. So I've actually been 3rd runner-up, 2nd runner-up, and 1st runner-up the last 3 years. A
little pressure on yourself?
So I won talent too my sophomore year, so it's been all over the board.
That's right. So a lot of work and a lot of care going into this Saturday night's pageant. Let's review those details one more time. Tickets for the Miss Bengal 2018 pageant, the 53rd annual, are on sale for $12 each. You can take your chances and get them at the door on Saturday night. The pageant starts at 6 p.m. We wouldn't delay. Don't come right at the last minute because you might not get a seat. When the room is full, it's full. You can also spend Friday getting your tickets from Rosman High School. You can email Miss Hall at thall@tcsnc.org, or call the high school at 862-4284. Again, that's Rosman High School, 862-4284. And if you're lost, if those details got by you, check out the Rosman High School website, rhs.tcsnc.org, or look at the yearbook on Facebook. We're really excited to see the Instagram and Facebook photos and videos coming out from the yearbook. Ms. Hall, without the support of the Bengal pageant for the scholarship and for the yearbook, what would life be like for your students? What would be different?
Well, it would be very stressful to try to pay for our yearbook because that's a pretty expensive thing, and yearbooks would cost more for our students.
So we are really grateful that Tammy Hall and Emma Henderson came in to share a little time this afternoon. It's Thursday, January the 18th, and we're announcing the Miss Bengal pageant tonight. Saturday night. Come out Saturday night, January the 20th, to Rosman High School in the auditorium. Tickets are on sale now and at the door. Call Rosman High School at 862-4284. You've been listening to TCS Yes. Thank you, Tammy Hall, for coming in on your virtual day. I know everybody's been working very, very hard, even when we're out for the snow, to help students keep making progress. Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
And Emma Henderson, thank you for taking the time, and good luck in your 4th and final try at the Miss Bengal pageant.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Smith. We bring you this show every Thursday afternoon from 3:25 to 4 o'clock. Thank you so much for being with us. Until next week when we bring you the next show, take care. We'll talk to you then.